The Rex, Columbia, Westwood, all names for a building steeped in history. Today, it is known by a different name, the Romance Theater. And what better name for a building that could be called one of the hidden gems of southeast Idaho? History continues to polish the Romance Theater as improvements are made and renovations are continued. But what does the future hold for the near to a century-old theater in the town of Rexburg? From the start, the Romance Theater has had a rich history of change. In 1917, the Romance Theater opened its doors for the first time as the Rex. Rexburg's newspaper, the Current Journal, announced the opening of the theater on February 23, 1917. The Rex Theater will open its new show house with The Common Law, a Clara Kimball Young production. The Rex is pronounced the most beautiful theater in the whole state of Idaho. Come and see for yourself. Admission is 15 cents and 25 cents. By June 1918, the theater had already changed names, becoming the Columbia Theater for a few years before changing back to the Rex, just prior to when it was purchased by the original owner, a man named Mark Madison, in 1924. But tragedy struck the Madison family 2 short years later when Mark Madison died of pneumonia. 3 months later, his widow, Carrie Madison, sold the theater to Paul DeMordaunt and Hugh Drennan, owners of D&D Enterprises. DeMordaunt and Drennan were determined to make something of the then-named Rex Theater, and they did. By 1929, they succeeded in bringing sound to what were before silent films. On September 6, 1929, Bulldog Drummond, starring Ronald Colman, opened in the Rex Theater in Rexburg, Idaho. Then, in 1935, the Rex closed its doors, but this time not for something unfortunate. The Lang Building, the building next door to the Rex, was purchased, and extensive renovations began. But before the year was up, renovations had been completed and the Rex opened its doors with a new name, one that it is now known by, the Romance Theater.
Isn't this a lovely day to be caught in the rain?
After opening with a showing of Top Hat, starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, the Romance became one of the centerpieces of Upper Valley, Idaho entertainment. But then, a little over 40 years later, the Romance met with tragedy. June 5, 1976. The Teton Dam disaster wreaked havoc on downtown Rexburg, just one of the many, many places to suffer the devastation. The Romance Theater was no exception. It wasn't long until the fall of that year that it reopened, renamed once again. For close to 30 years, it would be known as the Westwood. Eventually, after closing down on March 30th, 2001 under ownership of Carmike Theaters, the Westwood was purchased by the city of Rexburg and renamed the Romance, the name it bears to this day. It continues to be used to show plays, movies, and events in Rexburg. But what is in store for the Romance Theater? Will renovations continue? Or will the price to make this hidden gem shine once more be too much? Like a feather that drifts with the breeze, no one knows exactly where the future of the Romance Theater lies. But if the future of the theater is anything like its past, it has great potential to be bright indeed.